Once you've created a shape, you are very likely to want to format it. So what you can do is just make sure that you have your shape selected and you go to the Format tab. For shapes, we get three options: Fill, Outline, and Shape Effects. You can also click this button here to edit a shape, and we'll see that at the end of this video. For fill, you can use any of these colors. You can also click this button to get more colors. You can fill with a gradient. So this tells you what type it is, and that's just going to make a gradient that comes out from the beginning to the end. You can fill it with a number of preset textures, so this kind of water bubble effect. You can also fill it with a picture. So if we go Shape Fill and choose Picture, you can then select a file on your computer. So for example, I could choose something like this Spacestars tiny.jpg and insert. One thing you want to notice though, if you see the square boundary around your shape, PowerPoint is going to squash whatever picture you choose into this square area. And this could be a rectangle, for example. So if I pull this out. So if the picture that you insert is not the exact same dimensions as this box, then it's going to get squished or stretched in some way. You can format the shape outline over here. So you can choose the color. You can choose the weight. So you can make it something like 6. And you can also choose any one of these sort of dashed options. Shape effects are fancy things like shadows and reflections. So for shadows, you can have shadows on the outside of the object, you can have shadows on the inside, or even a perspective, which, for example, over there, gives you the shadow on the bottom that's going to make it look like this oval is kind of hanging in space. Lastly, you have this Edit Shape option. So if you click this menu, you can change something to another shape. So if I just click, for example, rectangle, it just changes that into a rectangle, and I could format this in any of the same ways. I'm going to hit Ctrl-Z to undo. The other option you have here is to edit the points. So remember that with a curve, I've made a point here, 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 etc., etc. If I click Edit Points, you can actually see those points. And in order to edit points, if you scroll right over a point, you get this little icon, which is one of these points with these 4 tiny little black arrows. If you click then and drag, you can actually change the location of the point. And if you drag these little white handles, you can kind of change the way that the curves actually work. If you hover over a different part of the curve, so one that's not a point, if you get right onto it, you get this little box with the 2 lines through it. If you click with this and drag, you can actually create a new point. So I can now edit that point, and I could move it, etc., etc. If you hover right over a point that you have, so we get our little square with 4 arrows, and hit the Control key and hold it, it turns into a cross. So that, if you then click, is going to delete a point, and the other 2 will just be joined up like that.